there would be times when the patients would say, you know what, Morgan has been doing her thing. And I'm like, wow, I done came up. I done came up for real. Hello, my name is Morgan and I make videos about whatever is happening in my life. So today I guess I wanted to share with you what my experience has been being a student nurse extern. I've been a student nurse extern for 5 months now, and I think I've got lots of experience to share. A nurse extern is someone who is enrolled in a nursing program, has some clinical experience, and works under the supervision of a nurse doing nurse aid tasks or some nursing tasks. So basically a nurse extern is like a nurse aid with occasional nursing duties under the supervision of a nurse. So as a nurse extern, you will probably never do anything outside of your scope of practice unless you have a nurse physically with you doing something that might be outside of your scope of practice, like inserting a Foley catheter or putting in an IV, all that stuff. And if you're not familiar with the work of a nurse aide, what they basically do is direct patient care. So they're helping patients with ADLs or activities of daily living. And those are just activities that you and I probably do without thinking, like brushing our teeth, grooming, going to the bathroom. And we're able to do that because most of us are independent adults. But when you have someone who is chronically ill or is just really old, they might need help doing those things. And outside of a nurse externship, I think that you need a type of certification in order to work as a nurse aide. I think it's different for each state, but within the nurse externship, you don't really need any certification. So the way I became a nurse extern was by way of recruitment. I think my professors in my med surg course were posting these flyers that were saying that the WellStar externship program is hiring new nurses who have at least one clinical year of clinical experience. One thing that really caught my eye was the rate of pay, and I was immediately interested because at that time I was down on hard times. I had not had a job in months, so I was very ready to take on that job. So I sent in my application. They scheduled the interview like by the end of the week, and then I did my interview. I felt like I did pretty good and I got hired. Requirements were that I had to be enrolled in nursing school, that I had to have 1 year of clinical experience. That was pretty much it. They didn't really have a GPA requirement, but I did have to turn in my transcripts, but that was more so to prove that I was enrolled in a nursing program. Oh, I should say I also felt like I had a certain advantage because personally I was a certified nurse aide prior to nursing school, so I had pretty good patient experience, pretty good experience with helping people with ADLs, all that stuff. So going into it, I was pretty experienced, in addition to like my 1 year of clinical experience and all that stuff and what I've learned in nursing school. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into actually working as a nurse extern. So for the first couple of days I was orienting. I personally felt very overwhelmed because it was so much work to me. And I was a CNA at the nursing home I used to work at. I was only responsible for helping with ADLs, I didn't really do documentation. I didn't have to do vitals. And looking back, I remember that being pretty overwhelming, but working at a hospital is just so much more that you have to do. So now I'm responsible for documentation, helping with ADLs, doing vital signs, reporting abnormal vitals to the nurse. So as I was adjusting to orientation, you can imagine I was not too excited about coming off of orientation, because I felt like I just wasn't going to be able to handle all this work by myself. Eventually I came off orientation. It was just so sudden, like nobody gave me any type of like forewarning, like, hey, this day you'll be on your own. They just scheduled me, gave me a bunch of patients, and I'm like, you know what, maybe I am ready for the day. So I got my report and prepared for the day and did my work as confidently as I could. It was around 12 p.m. and then someone told me to help this person in this in her patient room, and I'm like, why is the nurse coming to me when I don't have this person assigned to me? I went into that room and I looked on the board, and then I saw that my name was on the board, and I realized that I was assigned to this patient, and I had no idea because I had forgot to write down the report for that patient. So I was like, oh my goodness, I was not getting any vitals on this person all day. I need to tell somebody. So I went to the manager and I was like, hey, I think you might need to put me back on orientation because I'm fucking up, basically. And then I basically explained like what happened. My manager was nice about it and gave me like encouragement, and he was just saying like, everyone's overwhelmed, it's just going to take some getting used to, and I think that you're going to be able to adjust well to, which is true. I mean, you know, the more you do something, the more you're going to get used to it, you're going to get more efficient at it. But I also believe that they're just so understaffed that they just need more CPs like on schedule and working and taking up more patients to alleviate the other CPs. But yes, the more I worked, I was working like, well, during the summer I was working like 3 shifts a week, so of course I got pretty used to how overwhelming it was. I'm still not the best, but I think I'm pretty good. Back when the associate manager was working, she would like make her rounds through patient rooms and say and ask the patients which CPs and nurses have been just doing, you know, an exemplary job. And there would be times when the patients would say, you know what, Morgan has been doing her thing. And I'm like, wow, I done came up for real. So let's get into the pros of being a nurse extern. So this is just a general list that I came up with. First of all, the most obvious one is that you get a feel for the skills that you need to be a nurse. And what I mean by that is you get to see all the soft skills that you need, like time management, how to communicate effectively with people, how to communicate in a timely manner, prioritizing the type of organization that you need. And then like once you are exposed to the skills that you need as a nurse, then you're able to communicate with yourself and say, okay, what do I need to work on before I get into this role? Personally, for me, it would probably have to be time management and prioritization. So that's what I try to work on every time I work my shift as a nurse extern. The next pro is I feel like you acquire a lot of patient experience and skills early on. I honestly cannot imagine how frazzled I would be as like a new grad nurse with no type of patient experience. Well, like, or the only patient experience I've had is my measly 12-hour shifts that I do at clinicals, and honestly at clinicals I don't really feel like I do much. I think that this nurse externship has given me a lot more confidence doing clinicals, and I feel like I'm more confident at with communicating with patients and doing all that stuff, because usually I would just be standing on the sides, like just watching the nurse, asking my little questions here and there, and just feeling very bothersome. Yeah, I can't imagine being immediately thrown into a job as demanding as nursing with little to no like experience on how it is. I think in nursing school it gives you these scenarios that are very clean cut and perfect and ideal, and that is not how it is in real life. It doesn't really expose you to the realities of nursing, and some of those realities are pretty harsh, and I think that it's good to be exposed to that early on so that you're not like shocked when you get into it, and then you're like, then you're kind of feeling like you wasted your time on this career path that you kind of probably don't even want to be in. And then the last thing, I think that being a nurse extern gives you an opportunity to apply all the things that you've learned in nursing school to real life, and it's like it's pretty cool how it happens. Like, you get the scenario, and that's when the gears kind of start turning. I think that that's pretty cool, because I think that's how you retain information. I think that's how it sticks with you when you get to experience it in person. So to move into the cons, I think that I want to make a entirely different video on that, because I am a pessimist, I'm a hater, and I love dwelling on the negative. No, I'm just kidding. I just want to have an opportunity to like work through my thoughts on the negative side of my experience as a nurse extern and CNA, because I have a lot to say. So thank you so much for watching this video, and if you made it to the end, thank you. If you want to hear more about my nursing experiences, you should subscribe, and if you like this video, you should like it. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video.